going on, Dolphins? It's your boy Dillon again, and I'm back with you for day 5 of training camp. Got some, stuff to go over, so let's go ahead and get right into it. I have this article first off by Pro Football Talk. Dolphins offensive line coach not happy with his unit. Let's see. The Dolphins offensive line play has been problematic over the last few years, and the team's offensive line coach hasn't seen things come together as he hoped at this point in the calendar. Jeremiah Washburn said that he likes having starters set at all 5 positions, including new left guard Josh Sitton and center Daniel Kilgore, but that a cohesive unit is not developing fast enough for his liking. And at the end of this show, I'm going to have all of the coaches' interviews at the back end of this show from this past week, and a couple more interviews from today, including Cameron Wake and Ryan Tannehill. We're not near where we need to be, Washburn said via the Miami Herald. I think Adam Gase said the same thing Saturday. I do like our group. It's a good group of guys. They're working hard, but in terms of production, we're not near where we need to be. Protection, run game, and anything. We're going to have to continue to work at it. There's over a month before the start of the regular season, so there's still time for things to gel as hoped up front in Miami. If not, there will be a familiar feeling in Miami once the games start to count. Obviously, that's true. We've all been used to, the same mediocre to terrible line play, and that's why Tannehill hasn't been as good and gets a lot of the criticism, because he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league his first 4 years. So, that is what it is. But I'm not too worried about it. I think that just the simple fact that they are all getting time together and, it's just reps. They just got to get reps. More reps. And I think that they're going to be fine. Today was the first day that they actually had full pads on, and tomorrow they don't have a practice. So, we'll just have to keep seeing how that develops. And really, honestly, at the end of the day, we can say everything we want to say about what happens in these practices and stuff like that, but once we see in games, see the results in games, then we won't really know for sure. So, obviously we have the Tampa Bay Bucks coming up here in our first preseason game next week. So, we'll be ready for that. This next article is from Dolphins Wire. Dolphins were chippy on 5th day of camp. On Monday, the Miami Dolphins finally practiced in pads for the first time during this year's training camp. They also practiced in their inside facility because of the threat of lightning in the area. Monday's practice was high-spirited, to say the least. There were a couple of practice fights. First, after cornerback Bobby McCain knocked down a pass thrown by Ryan Tannehill, he got into it with wide receiver Danny Amendola, saying a few expletives as the two butted helmets before they were separated. Not too long after the incident, McCain and Amendola shook hands and went their separate ways. Then later, wide receiver Jakeem Grant and Micah Fitzpatrick also got into it on the far end of the field. Palm Beach Post Joe Shad was able to see it. Jakeem Grant, and this is from Joe Shad, Jakeem Grant and Micah Fitzpatrick emerged from scrum fired up. Hard to tell who was swinging, but emotional moment at Miami Dolphins practice. Fans may remember when McCain was ejected for throwing a punch at Amendola when he was a member of the Patriots last November. When asked about the incident this offseason, McCain said he and Amendola were past it and are friends with each other. After practice, McCain re-emphasized that he and Amendola were cool. The pads came on today, McCain said. Like I said, we're going to be competitive. We can be best friends, we can be brothers, blood brothers, but we're still going to be competitive, and we're still going to come out and try to win. He's going to try to win. I'm going to try to win every day. Here are some other noteworthy items from Monday's practice. The defensive line overwhelmed the offensive line many times during practice. Defensive ends Cameron Wake and Robert Quinn were consistently putting pressure on Ryan Tannehill for a better part of the day. Speaking of the Dolphins' offensive line, Ted Larson received work with the first team at left guard. This was the second straight day Larson took some reps with the first team at left guard. Sam Young also received snaps at left tackle for Laramie Tunsil some on Monday. Tavez Calhoun intercepted a pass thrown by Brock Osweiler. Osweiler threw the pass as he was being pressured. So far during camp, Osweiler has thrown a number of interceptions during the 5 days of camp. Center Jake Brendel, calf, and tight end A.J. Derby, foot, missed practice again on Monday. The Dolphins will have an off day on Tuesday before returning to the practice field on Wednesday morning at 8:30. All right. Yeah, I mean, pads came on, things are ratcheting up, and it's bound to happen. I don't really think it's a big deal. I think Adam Gase and the coaching staff is going to, keep things together, and I think these players are, they respect each other. They're finally, look, I know a lot of people don't believe in the culture, but I think that the front office and the coaching staff has set a culture that they want, and, they don't want fights necessarily, but they want guys to be, competitive like that, so that way they can push each other to be as great as possible. All right, this next one is from 247 Sports. Gesicki has been a quick study for the Dolphins. Combine the kind of physical tools Mike Gesicki showed during the NFL draft process with the mental work ethic described this summer, and the Miami Dolphins should have high expectations for the rookie tight end out of Penn State. Media in Dolphins camp described Gesicki as a quick study, which was not immediately the case. From working with Notre Dame's Durham Smythe in the playbook to whiteboard sessions with family and friends, Gesicki showed up for training camp with a clear mental focus, according to a special to Penn Live. There's no more mental errors, Gesicki told Penn Live. There's not going to the left when you're supposed to go right, or doing this when you're supposed to be doing that. That's a huge progression. And then just continuing to battle this heat and get acclimated with that, because you're out here for OTAs and you thought, all right, it's hot. Then you get out there in late July and the beginning of August, and now it's really hot. Honestly, and that's the thing, is he's been putting in the work. I think he's going to be great. He's just got to get acclimated to the way that the NFL is, to the way that the Dolphins are, to South Florida and the heat and all that shit. I think he's going to be all right, though. Gesicki may enjoy sunshine growing up in one of the Jersey Shore's premier areas, but Miami's heat is another story. It has been an admitted adjustment for the tight end compared to his days at Manahawkin, New Jersey, Southern Regional, and Penn State. Gesicki signed with Penn State as a 247 Sports composite 4-star recruit in 2014. It doesn't feel like this over at Penn State, he said. I'm definitely getting used to that and adjusting to that. Once you get used to the weather, once you get used to the heat, you can play fast and do what you want to do. Gesicki will have to continue to showcase toughness in hot conditions to his teammates and coaches. We were kind of giving him a hard time about that, but I think it's good that some of our younger guys are going through that right now and realizing, okay, it's not going to change, said Dolphins coach Adam Gase. It's about recovery. It's about getting sleep. It's about hydrating. All those things to put yourself in position to where you go out there, you are positioned to where when you go out there you can make plays. Gesicki caught 129 career passes during his 4 years at Penn State for 1,481 yards and 15 touchdowns. His breakout season for James Franklin came in the 2016 season for Penn State's run to the Big Ten title. Gesicki caught 48 balls for a career-high 679 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Dolphins grabbed Gesicki as the 42nd overall pick and the second of 6 Penn State players to hear their name called in 2018. Gesicki signed a $6.6 million deal with Miami and joined Saquon Barkley, Deshaun Hamilton, Troy Apke, Marcus Allen, and Christian Campbell as the next wave of Nittany Lion draft picks heading into their rookie years. Lovely. See, and that's one of the cool things, though, about, getting these range of articles and stuff, because you hear things that you might not hear elsewhere, and that was a cool little bit of information too. So, all right, next, experts picks of the 2018 division winners. This is by Bleacher Report. So, real quick, let's see what they say about the AFC East. Oh, how about that? They chose the Patriots with 8 votes out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How about that? They think it's going to be... They unanimously said that the Patriots are going to win the division. Let's see what they got to say. Might as well kick things off with the easiest call in the league to make. Fans of approximately 31 NFL teams are well and truly sick of the New England Patriots. Since the dawn of the 21st century, the Patriots have put together arguably the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Since 2001, the Patriots have played in a staggering 8 Super Bowls, beginning with New England's upset win over the greatest show on turf, Rams, in Super Bowl, 36, and ending with last year's loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 52. And 5 times the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Patriots have lifted the Lombardi Trophy as the champions of the NFL. Real quick, I won't deny that. They have been there, 8 times, won 5 of them. People can say whatever they want, but they have a history of being a little dastardly. Okay? Spygate, Deflategate, right? Tom Brady and Julian Edelman both being players that have been at some point or another, including recently, among others, who have been, accused of performance-enhancing drugs and stuff like that. So there's various things out there. I won't say they're obviously going to go down in history. NFL history is one of the greatest teams, but there's better ways to do it. There's non-cheater ways to do it, and I think we are going to prove that over the next 10, 20, 30 plus years. Anyway, as mind-boggling as that is, New England has been all the more dominant inside the AFC East. Starting with that Super Bowl win in 2001, the Patriots have won the division a staggering 15 times in 17 seasons, including the past 9 years in a row. The last time the Pats weren't the champs of the East was 2008, the year Golden Boy tore his ACL in the season opener. Oh, wow. But they're actually not even going to mention, though, the fact that they still went 11-5 without their Golden Boy, and we took the division with Tony Sparano. They don't even want to pay him respect now that he just passed away. They don't even want to pay him respect and say, hey, Tony Sparano beat Bill Belichick in the fucking Patriots. Okay, dude. Okay. Anyway, frankly, it would take a similar injury to stop the Patriots from making it 10 division titles in a row. Bruh. We're gonna fucking stop them from making it 10 in a row. Sure, there are questions around the Pats. Brady will be 41 when the season begins and has been showing in his play, if you actually fucking break it down and watch him, he's been showing in his play that he is starting to regress. Brady will be 41 when the season begins. The Patriots will be without top wideout Julian Edelman for the first month of the season, and New England's defense was exposed in a big way by the Eagles this past February. But as NFL Features lead writer Tyler Dunn pointed out, there's still just too much Tom Terrific and not enough, well, everything else. It's the Patriots, Dunn said. The Bills and Jets are rebooting again, and while the Dolphins welcome Ryan Tannehill back, head coach Adam Gase has jettisoned a lot of talent in trying to change the culture of his locker room. Not a bad idea to be sure, but New England will coast to its 15th division title in 16 years. No one is arguing with it. Well, guess what? I'm fucking arguing with it. And they downplayed Tannehill, and again, they just focus on the talent that we lost. Sure, we lost some talent, but we were able to get rid of that talent and either bring in or develop equal or better talent, which will be proven this year, for much cheaper. Just saying. Anyway, let's see. This is from the Sun Sentinel and Chris Perkins. Dolphins wear full pads but could have used boxing gloves. I don't usually read too much right of theirs for right now because I don't have a subscription to theirs. I don't like paying news subscriptions because I can get most of it for free. Anyway, whatever. The Miami Dolphins were in full pads Monday for the first time during training camp, and it didn't take long for the fights. It was time to pay for all the trash talk of the previous 4 days when practice was either in shorts and t-shirts or shorts and shoulder pads. You can't hide when the pads come on, safety TJ McDonald said. First, it was cornerback Bobby McCain fighting with wide receiver Danny Amendola in a reprise of an incident from last season. McCain, in fact, was ejected from the New England game at Gillette Stadium for that incident. Then it was rookie safety Minka Fitzpatrick, the first-round pick from Alabama, going at it with wide receiver Jakeem Grant. Special teams coach Darren Rizzi was still excited about that one after practice, jokingly referring to the 5'7" Grant as Clubber Lang, the vicious character from Rocky III played by Mr. T. He's a spunky little dude, man, and I'm telling you, he's going to do some big things for us this year. McCain, an affable type who's likely the consensus choice as the mouthiest player on the team, said the defense tries to get under Grant's skin. We call him Mighty Mite, McCain said. He may get a little feisty at times, but he has got a lot of dog in him. That's what we love about him. He's got dog in him, and I've got respect for him. Neither of the fights was the type in which helmets are ripped off an opponent's head and used as a weapon. These were heated but relatively tame encounters. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill has mixed emotions about such episodes. It's good and bad to it. He said, you see the fire that some of our guys have and the passion we play with, and you love seeing that aspect. You love seeing the competitiveness, the desire to win. You don't really want to take away from practice and be a distraction, take away from the greater good. So it's a fine line between going all out and then being a distraction and taking away from what we're trying to accomplish. On one hand, I love to see it. I love to see the fire that our guys have. On the other hand, it takes away from us a little bit. However, Tannehill understands. When you're going against the same guys day in and day out, the little things start to build up and become bigger than what they really are, he said. But that's just the nature of the business. The bottom line is no one gets a break, not even wide receiver Isaiah Ford. He's nursing a shoulder ailment, so he wears a red jersey, meaning he can't engage in contact. They're not obeying it, though, Ford said with a smile about defensive backs. Cornerback Xavier Howard said physicality can't be avoided. That's part of football, he said. It's a physical game, so guys are out there trying their best, trying to make a play. Monday was intense, but there was still time for a bit of fun. The final play of the wide receiver versus defensive backs one-on-one drill meant the losers unit had to do 10 push-ups. Howard came through to bat a pass away, so the offense had to drop and do 10 push-ups. The defensive backs took great pride in winning that battle. It doesn't matter where we're at, Howard said. When we put the pads on, we've got to go to work. Yeah, man. I mean, we talked about that a minute ago. It gets, it gets chippy out there. It gets, real competitive. It gets a little heated sometimes, but that's how it is. They're all brothers. They all respect each other. There's no problems. A lot of people might start looking at that and be like, oh, there's problems brewing. Just calm down. Just calm down. Everything's fine. Pretty soon they're going to start being able to play other people. So, it'll be all right. It'll diffuse. All right, this next one from Dolphins Wire. Dolphins wide receiver Isaiah Ford is glad to be back after injury last year. Wide receiver Isaiah Ford has been a pleasant surprise throughout training camp so far. As each day passes, it becomes harder to understand how Ford dropped all the way to the 7th round of the 2017 NFL Draft. Ford has made many impressive catches during practices, including an acrobatic one in the end zone on Sunday. While Ford is fighting for a spot on the Dolphins' 53-man roster, he told reporters on Monday he is just happy to be back on the field after missing all of last year. It was a long time coming. I worked extremely hard trying to get myself healthy, doing the things I need to do to be available and to be out there and just showcase what I can do, Ford said. I give a lot of props to the training staff and the strength and conditioning staff for helping me get there. Early during training camp a year ago, Ford injured his knee as he missed the entire season. But the bright spot in not playing during his rookie campaign was it gave him a chance to solely focus on learning the playbook. You always want to be out there, Ford said. That's why you play the sport, to compete and to help your team win. So when I wasn't able to do that, it was a little tough. But I got to learn a lot through it. I got to sit in on the meetings and watch film and things like that. It was kind of a redshirt year, so to speak, just to learn the system and to understand what the coaches are expecting. And that happened to a few players last year. Tony Lippett, Ryan Tannehill, Raekwon McMillan, Isaiah Ford. These guys were able to enhance their game by sitting back and paying attention because they didn't have a choice. And it shows a lot about them when they didn't just take the fact that they were injured and sulk about it and shit. So far, Ford has made a strong case for the Dolphins to keep 6 receivers on their roster as his performance has not gone unnoticed. Last year, the Dolphins started with 5 receivers on their roster, but there's an excellent chance they could end the preseason with 6 on the team. Ford is competing with Leonte Carroo and Rashawn Scott for that final receiver spot. As of now, Ford is in the driver's seat to make the 53-man roster, but remember, the Dolphins only are a week into this year's training camp. There's still a lot more that needs to be hashed out, but it's coming. We're getting closer and closer. Next, Dolphins Wire, Cameron Wake on Charles Harris's offseason. As a rookie last year, Charles Harris went from a star defensive end at Missouri to a rotational bench player for the Miami Dolphins. His transition to the NFL wasn't great, so Harris decided to change some things up during the offseason to prepare for the rigorous season ahead. Harris has not only changed what he put in his body, but also cleansed his mind as well. Football, I did a lot of football-wise, working out-wise, all of that kind of stuff, Harris said. I feel like I just got better mentally, spiritually, and things like that. Being able to take care of my family, get stuff done off the field, and understanding grace and stuff like that. I'm better mentally. Mentally is going to transition everything else. Yeah, and I put, his video was up there yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, check that out. The tail end of my last video has all the player interviews from this past week of camp and stuff like that. Veteran Cameron Wake has also noticed a change in Harris, as he had extremely high praise for him when talking to reporters on Monday, and I'll have that interview for you soon. I actually think Charles Harris has probably had the best offseason, not just any D lineman, but probably anybody on our team, Wake said. He came back in tremendous shape. He's obviously been working on his strength. He's been working on his football and showing up on tape. I think that's definitely going to pay off when it becomes time to put these live bullets in and get after these quarterbacks. He's made great strides, and obviously the more the merrier. I'm happy for it. Harris played in all 16 games last season, but he started in just 2 games because he backed up Wake and Andre Branch. He registered only 19 tackles and 2 sacks. Although his sack numbers were low, Harris says was satisfied with his play a year ago. I feel like the best game I looked at is the Kansas City game, Harris said. People don't understand what happened before that game. Only the coaches and everybody here knows what happened before that game. Everything that happened before that game, what happened in that game, and at the end of the game with me getting hurt at the end of the game, it was just a wake-up. I feel like that's the one game I looked at and I feel like I reflect back on all the time. I mean, I don't know. You guys know how I feel about him. I think he's going to be totally fine. I think he's making a lot of progress. I think he's going to do well for us. So I'm not too worried about that. Let's see. Whoa, did I have anything else? Did I have anything else here? Okay, no, I'm going to go... Okay, so a couple things from MiamiDolphins.com, from their writers. Give me just a moment. Okay, so... First one, The Blitz, trending Dolphins content from across the web. Offensive lineman Laremy Tunsil told reporters he just wants to be great. Rookie tight end Mike Gesicki shined on Sunday, snaring 2 touchdowns. His one-handed grab against Minkah Fitzpatrick during one-on-one drills has generated over 1 million views on the Dolphins' social media channels. It was great. And in my last video, I actually had a little clip of that up there in the video for you. Head coach Adam Gase got physical with the receivers during a drill at yesterday's practice. The coaching staff is working with quarterback Ryan Tannehill on his sliding technique to protect his knee. Adam Beasley of the Miami Herald is curious to see how Adam Gase will get all of his receivers involved on offense. The Sun Sentinel's Omar Kelly believes the Dolphins' offense would benefit from a run-heavy approach. Ken Dorsey, from Miami Hurricanes quarterback and current assistant athletic director at Florida International University, visited training camp yesterday. Excuse me. Offensive line coach Jeremiah Washburn is still coaching during training camp despite recovering from a severe knee injury. Wide receiver Isaiah Ford can't stop catching touchdowns. Offensive lineman Mike Matthews is the 7th member of his family to play in the NFL. The North Carolina Courage won the women's ICC trophy, defeating Olympique Lyonnais 1-0 last night at Hard Rock Stadium. International Champions Cup play wraps up tomorrow night at Hard Rock Stadium when Real Madrid and Manchester United kick off at 8 p.m. Some interesting stuff there. Alright, so next. Kangemi's 3 takeaways from practice number 5. So John Kangemi. Contact increases. The South Florida weather finally had a direct effect on the practice schedule as the team moved from the outside practice fields to the indoor bubble. The team was in full pads for the first time during training camp, and the contact was a little more than just a thud. Bodies were flying around and the intensity seemed to increase with every drill. A couple of players took that intensity to another level. It didn't take long for slot receiver Danny Amendola and nickelback Bobby McCain to have a heated exchange. Both players are ultra competitive, and going against each other every day will make both of them better for the regular season. Also, wideout Jakeem Grant mixed it up with rookie safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. Football is a contact sport, and it wouldn't be training camp without a few guys losing their cool. Number 2, situational football. Today's emphasis focused on the 2-minute drill before the halftime in third down situations. Both of these drills were won by the defense, who stalled both the first team and second team offenses off of the field after 3 plays. The offense did have a couple of bright spots at the end of the period. Wide receiver Rashawn Scott had an acrobatic sideline catch on the sidelines that would have moved the chains. Scott, along with Isaiah Ford, have been impressive and are making the coaches take notice. On defense, defensive back Tavez Calhoun came up with his first interception in training camp. That interception continues the streak of at least 1 pick in each practice. Attacking defensive line. The speed and penetration that the entire defensive front showed throughout practice today was impressive. It was relentless and has been consistent throughout the first 5 practices of training camp. Head coach Adam Gase referenced the group in his post-practice press conference. He likes how the guys have taken the speed and technique from their individual drills and applied that work to the 11-on-11 team periods. From what I've witnessed, it's not just one or two guys getting it done, and that's exciting to see. So I want to say that right now, our defense is designed to attack. They're designed to rotate. So they're always going to be fresh and stuff like that. They just got pads on, and they're dominating right now. But that's what the offensive line is going to need to get continuity and consistency. They're going to need that ferocious attack that gets them, molding together as a unit. Top news from Alan Pupar: Tannehill feeling great after 5 practices. For quarterback Ryan Tannehill, the start of training camp has proceeded smoothly from a physical standpoint, perhaps even better than he had anticipated. Tannehill turned 30 years old Friday, and he said he was feeling great after the Dolphins completed a 5th consecutive day of practice. Tannehill said he hasn't even felt any soreness in his throwing arm since the start of camp, which hasn't surprised him, which has surprised him a little. I came in pushing myself in the off-season, throwing a lot, getting ready to go, he said. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Day 2, I came out here and I was kind of expecting a little arm soreness just with the increased load. It's one of those where you expect to be sore, a little tired, and it's not, and you're like, oh, all right, good. It's been good so far. Hopefully, I hope to keep it that way as we move forward and the load increases even more, but I feel great so far. Defensive end Cameron Wake said he never visited the training room last year, but can conclude that Tannehill did it the right way during his rehabilitation process. If you look at him today and the way he's approaching the game, Wake said, obviously he did what he was supposed to do. Tannehill was asked whether he gave any thought on his career arc after reaching 30 years old, but he said he was just focused on the present. Honestly, I don't know, Tannehill said. I'm just trying to get better. I feel like I have a lot of good football left in front of me and just want to be the best I can this year, and will focus on other things after that. Heated practice. The intensity picked up at practice Monday, which was to be expected as the team practiced in full pads for the first time this summer. The practice also moved inside the bubble at the Baptist Health Training Facility at Nova Southeastern University because of lightning in the area, and that also contributed to the feistiness that resulted in a couple of minor skirmishes. They're not going to get as tired as they get outside, head coach Adam Gase explained. Wide receiver Jakeem Grant, who was involved in one of the skirmishes, said it's all part of competition. One thing about us this year, we're bringing that physicality right back at them, Grant said. That's why we butt heads a lot, but at the end of the day, we're going to continue to play as a unit, and we're going to shake hands afterward because there's no hard feelings. X marks the spot. Xavier Howard is off to a strong start in training camp, and he came up with a big play for the defense at the end of one-on-one drills between defensive backs and receivers. Howard reached out to knock away what looked like a perfectly thrown deep pass from Tannehill to Devontae Parker in the corner of the end zone. There was a lot riding on the play, too, because the winning side got to watch the losing side, in this case the offense, do some push-ups as a result. X made a great play on that one-on-one we had, Tannehill said. We had Devontae on a takeoff. I thought I did a good job of getting back to the red line, but thought I threw a good ball on the outside, and X elevated, got his arm on the ball. Hats off to X right there, making a good play. Gase and Tannehill both praised the work of Howard so far in camp, and the third-year player from Baylor says he's playing with a lot of confidence. I'm always feeling like that, he said. I'm bringing my A game. I'm bringing my A game this year. Tricky Gore. Tannehill and his offensive teammates obviously were familiar with veteran running back Frank Gore before he joined the Dolphins, but the quarterback said he's been surprised by how Gore hits the hole. When he runs downhill, he puts his foot in the ground and he goes, Tannehill said. You see it on the tape, but to see it in person, you see a crease that's a foot wide, barely able to get a helmet through there. Somehow he fits his whole body through there and is off to the next level. That's probably been the most fun thing for me as far as just seeing him put his foot on the ground and go downhill and find a way to get through a crease where it looks like a human being can't fit. Practice report. New Dolphins Walk of Fame inductee Mark Duper and former Dolphins defensive tackle Paul Sololai, who spent 7 seasons with the team and made the Pro Bowl in 2011, were visitors at practice. Defensive tackle Gabe Wright was back at practice after sitting out Sunday with a foot injury. Offensive lineman Jake Brendel, calf, and tight end A.J. Derby, foot, again missed practice. Wide receiver Isaiah Ford wore a red non-contact jersey for the 3rd consecutive day. Rookie free agent Greg Joseph did the kicking Monday and was 7 for 7 on field goal attempts with a long of 51. Cornerback Tavaz Calhoun had the only interception of the day in team drills. Youth is served. In keeping with their commitment to youth football, the Dolphins welcomed members of the Broward Parks and Rec Team League. Okay, and let's see. Real quick, one last thing from Alan Pupar, Camp Insider, 11 observation. 1. Dolphins practice in full pads for the first time this training camp. 2. New Dolphins Walk of Fame inductee Mark Duper and former Dolphins defensive tackle Paul Salulai, who spent 7 years with the team and made the Pro Bowl in 2011, were visitors at practice. 3. Practice was moved inside because of lightning. 4. Defensive tackle Gabe Wright was back at practice. Jake Brendel, calf. Tight end AJ Derby, foot, missed. Isaiah Ford, red contact jersey. Jakeem Grant, Danny Amendola, and Albert Wilson dropped back to field punts. Rookie free agent Greg Joseph did the kicking, 7 for 7 field goal attempts, long of 51. TJ McDonald had a nice pass breakup when tipped a deep pass down the middle away from Amendola. Talvez Calhoun had the only interception. Defensive end Andre Branch had a would-be sack against Brock Osweiler. Cornerback Xavier Howard tipped away a deep pass in the end zone intended for Devontae Parker on the final play. Torrey McTyer again lined up with the first-team defense at cornerback, had a nice pass breakup on a deep pass intended for Stills. All right, guys, so there you have it. That's it for today. I'm going to add the at the back end all those interviews of the coaches and the ones that were today. So I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, hit the like button, put your comments and stuff like that, and fins up. I'll see you again soon.
How are you today?
Better. Considering what happened, I feel very great. I mean, it's a lot of gratitude that it wasn't worse.
What's the prognosis as far as the rehab?
I mean, well, we got the best training staff in the league, but they are savages, and so they're working to get range of motion right now. And so Nal and Troy are both very tough on me right now with that. And so the whole group's been awesome. Dr. Yagnik and Uribe, they've been. It's a blessing to work for the Dolphins to have such first-class care.
Does it show your players how tough you are?
Heck no. Those guys go through way more than I do. I didn't make much of it with the guys. They were awesome. All of them reached out and done a lot for me and have mocked me pretty well. But, no, they've been great.
I assume you'll still be on crutches when the preseason games start.
I threw my crutches out there today and tried to walk. Sitton started picking on me, and so I don't know. I'm going to try to walk. I mean, I think I can.
You're upset been to do your job out here, and you're out there in these 2-hour practices as much as
There's nothing to it. I mean, Joe Vitt had to work with an Achilles. My dad got leg whipped like 5 years ago on the sideline by Pouncey, and he had to work with a broken leg. We all have to deal with something, so it's not hard. It's not. We all have to do our jobs.
You're a field guy anyway. You wouldn't be in the booth, right?
I think we haven't talked about any of that, to be honest with you.
When did this happen? What was the date?
July 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, July 3rd, the night before, yeah.
We've always been asking Tannehill about going through different races and stuff like that. Did you have like a scooter or different kinds of crutches or?
So they threw the scooter out at me. I just kept thinking of George Costanza, and then so Gase kept sending me YouTube clips of Costanza when he was working at Play Now Sports, and so we've had a thing going with that. So I said no way. So luckily they gave me a golf cart. They've been great. I mean, Adam's been unbelievable.
Yeah, the support you got from him when it happened.
It just tells me the man, right? I mean, I don't want to patronize him, but he stayed on the phone with my wife all the way until like 2 a.m. through my surgery, and he's amazing.
Was the incident itself to the level of where the trauma almost of like a life-threatening incident to you, or?
Yeah, I mean, you do, like Clyde Christensen called me a couple of days later, and he's Clyde, and so he gave me a verse. He said, "Hey, Psalm 23:2, He layeth me down in greener pastures," and he said, "You just meant to lay down here for a couple weeks," and so that's how I took it. And so spent a lot of time with my family and watched a lot of football and felt prepared for training camp.
I think you mentioned before that there was a chance you could have lost the leg. Is that correct?
Well, it just looked bad. I mean, the adrenaline's flowing. You stand up. You stand up and my leg's kind of at an angle, and I thought, my gosh, I just lost it. But then I was standing, and so, you have those prescient moments where you think, I just lost my leg, but then I didn't, and so I was pretty grateful there, Bees.
Has this always been your personality? Talking about something that most people would be, you're like kind of nonchalant about it right now. It's like you take things in stride. I guess.
You can roll your eyes, but I mean, I'm a man of faith, and I was raised by a man of faith that went through a lot. My dad, and he always took everything in stride. And when you witness those things growing up, that's just how you're conditioned to be. You don't say why me, it's why not me, and grateful for the things you get. And I just come back from a third world country. We're fine, you know. I mean, they deal with real stuff. I mean, I'm dealing with a leg that I've got the world's greatest care. So those guys, you know, where I just come from in Uganda, it was you see a whole lot different there. So. Anyway.
Are you pleased so far with what you've seen of the offensive line the first 4 days of practice?
I mean, no, but yes, I guess. I mean, we're not near where we need to be. I think Adam probably said the same thing yesterday. But I do like our group. It's a good group of guys. They're working hard. But in terms of production, we're not near where we need to be. Protection, run game, screens. We're going to have to continue to work at it. I know that sounds cliche, but that is really, I mean, that's it. And we tell them the same thing every day. And those guys should be saying those things to you as well. We're not near where we need to be. And I know Kasur just said that about his group, and I thought, really, they look fantastic. But
Coach, can you elaborate more on the work that you've done in Africa and when did that start and what have you guys been doing over there?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, 4 years ago, I had a couple players in Detroit that supported this mission and this ministry as an orphanage. And so the quick of it is they wanted a sports camp and for the kids that go to school there. There's about 150. And so a couple of the players set it up. Matt Burke and I went. One of my players, Dillon in Detroit, we all went over. It was an impactful experience more for us than for them. And my gosh, they took to American football really well. And so it was just a way for us to mission. You know, my father-in-law's a doctor, and he's traveled overseas, and I think, my gosh, I'm so worthless. But then you go over there and you say there is a place for all of us, you know, whether it's, I mean, my gosh, journalism is such a big deal over there, you know. I mean, not being corrupt in terms of that. I mean, let's go over there and help, right? And so we all have a place, and so we've just found our place. And so we've gone for the last 4 years, and it's expanded, and it's been a blessing for us to be able to go.
With the chemistry that you're trying to develop by keeping that unit together since OTAs, are you seeing progress or?
Yes, but it's not fast enough, you know. I mean, and you guys know that have been around. I mean, we just don't get the time that we used to with groups, right? And that's not an excuse, but like every day is priceless for us. It's so precious out here, pat a day, and so we need to see progress. But I'll say this, man, it is nice having some continuity. I mean, it really is. And you guys know around here it's been a shuffle, you know, even when I was here in 16 and then Chicago, we had the same thing. So it is nice having that same 5 start every day, and hopefully we'll see some benefits from it.
What do you lose when you're not shuffled?
Well, listen, something always happens, right? I mean, what is that, Murphy's Law? I mean, it's always going to happen, right? And so you do have to get guys in there, and so we do have to stay mindful of that, of getting guys in non-traditional spots. I mean, in Chicago last year, I had 2 guards that had never played guard before, you know, like Tom Compton and Bradley Soul, and then you've had it here, too, where you had Steen, Urbic, you know, you had Sam play. I mean, you had all these guys playing different spots, so they need to get valuable reps in that as well. So you do lose that, but we have to stay mindful with that, with the rotation, which Adam does a good job with that.
What do you want to see from Jesse Davis to make sure he takes that next step?
I mean, you know, I mean, I can't answer this without being incredibly cliche, but just consistent day-to-day play. I mean, that's the life of an offensive lineman, though. We've got to be boring. We don't want you to talk about us, you know, and just embracing the monotony of offensive line and being consistent with that technique day-to-day. And he's getting there. He's working at it.
And the guys, talking to the guys, you use the word forge a lot when you talk to them. What's that word mean to you? What message do you want that to send to your guys?
Oh, the forged. Well, you'd have to ask more of Coach Gase. That's been a really cool message. I've enjoyed that. I haven't worn the T-shirt yet, but I think it's just I think it's building relationships and connection through work, and I think a lot of that is authenticity, which is hard to find in the NFL, and that's what I really enjoy about our team is there's a lot of genuine, authentic guys that speak their mind, sometimes to their detriment, but I think those things are going to forge a real team, not just some of this, you know, fake stuff you see in the NFL. You know, I mean, I think it can be real and authentic, and so I think that's the message of that.
With Tunsil, is there anything you guys are trying to do kind of to rebuild his confidence, to get him out there playing with some swagger and kind of a nasty demeanor?
He's done it himself. He came with that eye, man. He had that eye as soon as he came back in the spring. It was something that he found within, and I mean, look, I'm his biggest fan. I was here day one with him, and he's come back with that, and there really hasn't been. I don't have to motivate Laramie Tunsil. He's a motivated young man, and he knew after last season he's very prideful, and you guys know that talking to him. I mean, he's wired that way, and so he's just got to keep that up.
Would you evaluate the work of the wide receivers in these early parts of training camp?
It's been good. You know, we're only 4 days in, so we have a long ways to go, but we really picked up where we left off this springtime. We're not making the same mistakes that we made back then, so it's encouraging. It's encouraging. I like the direction this group's heading right now.
Isaiah Ford is a guy who's kind of like flashed to us up there watching the practice. What have you seen from him?
There's no question. I mean, he's a guy that when he left college kind of faced some adversity. He got drafted later than he hoped for, got injured that first year, so he's done a nice job for us in terms of picking up this offense, and now he's being able to show us what he's able to do. For him, we just got to see him in games. You know, he missed all the preseason last year, so the games will tell us the tale of how good Isaiah can be for us this year.
How has Danny Amendola stepped up as a leader in the wide receiver so far?
It's unbelievable because as long as he's been in the league, he's still the first one in the meeting rooms every time. He's the first one in the bubble for walkthrough. I think it's great for the rest of the group just to see his professionalism, and believe me, he has not mastered this offense yet. So he comes in, he's scared. He's scared that he's going to mess up, you know, and he doesn't want to do that. And I think the rest of the guys understand, hey, if this guy with as much success as he's had is this worried about not messing up, then I better be on my stuff as well. So it's great to see what kind of leadership he's got for the rest of the group.
His movement, what he's been able to do within the pocket and getting outside
I do.
as well.
I do. I don't see any limitations at all, so I feel perfectly fine where he's at.
It seems like the competition is heating up daily.
Yeah.
It just switches between
Yeah.
Phils and Brock. What have you seen out of those guys, and as well as Bryce?
And Bryce too. Absolutely. I think they did a really good job of taking this summer and hitting the books and really coming back up. And they came in early, as we reported. They came in and we were able to detail a lot of things. That way we could come out and really just play fast and kind of take off, you know, begin where we took off right there at the end of spring. As far as those three, I think we're getting them, you know, different reps with different groups, and they've had some really good stuff this first couple days.
I noticed that a lot. Is that a big part of your pre-practice planning, trying to get guys working with everybody so you can evaluate evenly?
Absolutely, yeah, that's what we've been doing, and because there's a lot of different groups, and they'll play with a lot of different guys in games when the ones come out. And so they're going to get opportunities with all these receivers, all the tight ends, the different running backs, so everybody can hear from how they call a play in the huddle, how they sound the line of scrimmage, you know, and how they throw a ball. You know, that way you can get a little bit of timing before we get into that first preseason game. So that'll be good for them.
Have you liked the tempo that you guys have been trying to install?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it gives the quarterback, he gets him to the line of scrimmage. He can really survey the defense, do what he's got to do with his checks, his protection calls, know where to go with the ball, see the coverage. It gives him a lot of command at the line of scrimmage.
Well, I was hoping you could teach me something, because Adam was talking about how you guys are going to have to change the way Ryan gets down, the way he slides.
Yeah.
So is the natural inclination to slide kind of on that left leg?
I think it's if you're right-handed or left-handed a lot of times. You just think about if you play baseball, think about how you slid. If you're right-hander or left-hander, it's kind of what dominant, your left-hand side or right-hand side. But we'll work with him on it. So it's something that we have in the plans.
What are the mechanics of that though? How will you actually try to coach that, or what are you trying to get him to do?
Well, the first thing you coach is just a situational when-to slide. You know, and you see that across the league, guys taking shots when they don't need to. And they just got to understand when they slide, you know, butt first, just like you would into second base, how you do that. And obviously with a knee brace, not getting it caught, because you've seen some bad things across the league. A lot of times it just breaks if you slide right into the turf. And that stuff we'll do with him. You can get, you know, different mats and things like that to come out and take it slow, and then that way it'll transfer in the game. But it's all about just protecting himself, knowing when to go down, when the play's over, protect the ball, protect yourself.
You're looking for left leg out, right knee down?
Yeah.
I'd say, have you worked on that with him at all? Does it feel...
We have not yet.
Okay.
This is day 3 with his brace, and so we're getting him accustomed. He's trying some different things out, and we do have a plan for that
it's
in
a
the preseason.
minor detail, but it does seem like it would have big implications, and it would
and he's very athletic.
Big adjustment just to go against the way you've been.
Yeah, but an athlete like that, all these guys can adjust. They're great athletes.
Is there a ball security concern when you're going to be sliding?
No, we do ball security every day.
Being on that side
yeah,
too?
we have different we have 4 points of pressure that we teach, and we teach when you do go down to the ground, how you see guys protect themselves. They want to put that offhand down, but we tell them just give it up, lock it up, and then just fall to the ground. So there's some different things that we do with everybody. So we did that at the start of camp. That's what we talked about, ball security.
See the ability to spread the ball around with this group?
I see we're deep at wide receiver and we have skill guys that can make plays in space.
2 days ago, Adam said he wants to run the ball more, want to be more of a running team. Do you believe him?
Do I believe him?
Yes.
I mean, he's a head ball coach, so of course, I do know that he wants to create toughness. I do know that he wants to create balance in the offense, and I think that changes weekly. I think sometimes it's 30 runs, 40 runs, and sometimes I think it's 50 passes, and it depends how the game's going. How's the defense playing? How's the matchups? How are we running the football? Like, a lot of that dictates. I know that we need to be in. The thing we need to do a better job of this year, last year, is we need to be in control of more of those games and not let these things get lopsided.
So how do you develop that running game here during the preseason and training camp?
It's why Coach goes pads when he does. It's why he has live periods, because he wants to create a team that's going to be physical and we're push the ability to run football.
What's impressed you most about Ryan's first 4 practices of this preseason?
Just his intelligence. He's a competitor. He comes out with great urgency every day to practice. I mean, we're not where we need to be, but been really pleased with that part.
The tight end, what's someone going to need to do to win that job? What are you looking for?
Just keep getting better. I mean, right now, it's the same thing. It's like with the wide receivers and the running backs. Like, we're a long way away from creating a depth chart and doing those things, but we need to we need to really figure out what these guys can and can't do. And Adam's always done a great job putting those guys in situations to do that. And right now, it's too early for us to know. Like, we've had 2 days with some of these guys in pads. One thing I will say is Durham's done a great job. I should say a good job the last 2 days in pads, blocking, seeing a huge improvement that way, and just continue to develop these guys. Need to get Mike the ball in practice as much as we can, figure out what he can do, and obviously Coach and these guys have a feel of what the guys that were here from last year.
It seemed at times maybe Mike has an issue or two with this pickup. Is that something that you've been on him about?
Just as much as we can get him out there and do it, it's not something he's had a ton of experience with. He's very willing, and that's the biggest thing. Is it's the courage to stick your face in there and do it, which he has. Like, as he learns technique and stuff, he's always gonna be a guy because he's a pass catching tight end. Like, none of those great guys are like we're sitting in there like fired up to like protect. And obviously, we want to try to get him out as much as possible into routes, but you also want him to have the ability to say, hey, every time Gesicki's in the game, it's they're getting everybody out. Like, he's gonna have to block some and do some of those things, and we'll be really smart with how we use him in those situations.
What have you seen from Phils and Osweiler so far, positives and negatives?
I've had some experience with Phils, obviously in Chicago. The one thing that David does is he plays really well once the ball's snapped. He can process information quickly. He's a really football savvy guy. The thing that I think Osweiler does a really good job of is he has great command of the offense. He was behind 18 for those 4 years in Denver. He's really good with snap count etiquette, huddle etiquette, and those things. And he's done a better job the last 2 days of going where he should go. We had a couple. I think it was 3 days ago. Had a couple turnovers, and sometimes as quarterbacks, there's things that happen that we can't control. But cleaned it up the next day, and he's starting to stack a couple good days. But that's really what we want is who can consistently, day after day, stack good days, and that's how the battle will unfold.
What do you think of some of the reasons that Tannehill to Amendola seems to be like it's going to be a thing?
I think to whoever the quarterback's been to Amendola, it's been a thing for a long time, but. Danny has a great feel for zone coverage, and he's got enough quickness to beat man coverage, and he just has a knack because he understands defense so well when to sit. You guys saw it in the red area out there when all of a sudden they box a bunch, and he sees it, and he's giving the Tannehill as he's coming in motion, like, hey, box, 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 and there's not a lot of guys that see coverage like that, and then he just slides that yard over, and he's sitting there in that soft spot in the zone, and I think that's what helps everyone throw to Amendola.
With the wide receivers back to them, is it something that you want each guy to have a defined role going into the season, or do you want maybe game by game it can completely change what personnel you're running?
I think the most important thing for us is to figure out exactly, not define their role, but figure out their skill set. And once we figure out their skill set, what's Wilson do well, what's Amendola do well, Stills, Parker, all these guys that we have, the list goes on, is now put them in those situations. And that now, inside the matchup, sometimes that will change. Like, it's not going to change dramatically. We're all one week you're going to see a guy play 80 snaps, and the next week you're going to see 10. But like there will be a rotation. There'll be things that each guy does well, and then there's going to be personnel that we throw out that we didn't play for 2 or 3 weeks before that because coach is creative, and all of a sudden he's like, what if we put this group of guys out there at one time? The defense hasn't seen it, and self-scout tendencies and all those different things that come in. It's not as simple as it's not black and white. You know, it's very fluid.
Have you had a conversation with them saying, hey guys, we got a lot of talent here, one guy might not have 100 catches this year? Is that even needed?
No, the conversation is get better every day, worry about what you can control, and if you don't catch a ball in practice, you know, you better, like when we watch the tape, you better be getting better. And there's always things, like sometimes you don't catch a ball. There's been days when Devontae's had 2 passes, but it might have been 2 catches, but it might have been his best practice because he got better at his break points and was better in sitting in zone and separating in man. Like he can't control that stuff, but what he can control is lining up, doing the right thing, play after play, and when the ball comes your way, you need to make plays.
He said he wants to be great. Of course, we all want to be great,
yeah,
but I mean, like
I want to be great.
But like I think he can be great, but it hasn't happened yet. What do you think is going to happen for that to happen?
It's hard for me to speak on that because I wasn't here. I see a really talented player that needs to continue to stack good day after good day after good day, and I think once you just keep stacking those good days together and build some consistency and rapport with the quarterback, I think that'll carry into the season. You know, it's hard for me to comment on what's happened in the past. Other than, like when I look out here, I'm really excited to have him because he is really talented.
Frank Gore, have you seen his influence in that room in any way, and if so, how?
I think so. I think you just watch Frank. Frank carries himself like a professional in everything that he does. In how he's in the room, he's working, taking notes, trying to learn the offense because this is new for him. He's out here, he's working. I mean, you just look at him, he's drenched head to toe every day when he comes out here. That's the kind of effort that he puts in. And I think those young guys do see that, and they say, man, here's a guy that's really achieved some great things in his career, and yet he's out here grinding every day, and that makes those guys accountable to do that too. And I think that's what Frank. It's one of the things Frank brings to the room.
I'm sure Sonoris Perry is a guy who, you know, we look at the rookies, we look at the starters.
Yeah.
Where does Sonoris fit in?
Well, he had a great spring, in my opinion. You know, he really showed himself as being dependable to go in there, know what's going on. Obviously, his role has been on special teams primarily, but when you've got a jersey, even as a special teams player, you got to have an offensive role. That's one of those roles and functions that we talk about. And so what he's done is established himself as a dependable person to be able to go in if we need him. Right now, I don't have a hesitation dropping him in the game. I'd play him in the game.
Back to Frank, what has he shown you? Obviously, we have 15 years of tape we can watch. We know what he does well, but what at 35 is he still doing at every high level?
Compete. You know, he just competes at everything. He wants to be the best at everything. He wants to be the number one guy. In a one-on-one drill yesterday, he was trying to go against the best linebackers. You know what I mean? He wanted those guys, those matchups. He's constantly competing, and that's what you love about it.
I'm sorry, one more follow-up. Are you going to have to, you know, obviously he is 35, monitor how much work he gets throughout the week in the season, or is it full go?
Yeah, I'm not there yet. You know, I'm still trying to figure out what we've got in camp, and we're going to keep massaging this thing as we go forward, and we'll figure out whatever the best plan is for us going forward. But I haven't made any decisions on how reps or how we're going to do any of that stuff. We're going to do whatever we need to get the best guys to the game and to give us a chance to win.
Does Drake's body type and skill set kind of remind you of anyone you've ever seen in the league over the years?
Yeah, that's always hard for me. Comparisons are always hard. I think he's got a unique skill set to himself, and we're trying to maximize that whole skill set because it is special. You know, he can run, he's tough, he'll pass protect, he can run routes like a receiver in some cases. I just think we got to keep developing that. I don't have a good comparison point for you right now.
To me, he reminds me of some guys that people questioned if he could be an every down back because he's a speed guy, he's a third down guy, he's a specialty guy. What do you think has to happen for any athlete at the running back position to change the perception from, specialty back, third down back, change of pace back to every down back?
Performance. I mean, he's just got to perform and do it and show he can do it. And we've got to put him in situations where he's able to perform, and he either does it or he doesn't do it.
Why is he so good at making something out of nothing? Because it seems like some of his biggest plays last year where you thought he was dead in the backfield, a 40, 50-yard gain.
I don't, you'd have to ask him how he does that. I don't know how he does it. I'm just glad he does it.
He does it a lot, too.
He does it a lot. We're going to need him to do it. We're going to need him to do it.
State of Gesicki's blocking at this point, you would assess him how? How effective
Yeah.
has he been? How much room for growth?
Yeah, he's right on track. He's really improved from the spring. We just put on pads, and he's right where I'd expect him to be as a rookie, but I'm very pleased with where he's at right now. He's in a really good position.
Is there, even though you've only been obviously in tops for a couple of days, is there enough physicality there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's not a concern at all.
Okay.
Yes, that was the thing, you come into training camp without the pads on, you don't know, but he's been great in that area. He's very physical, likes contact, and I'm very pleased with where he's at blocking.
And do you and Matt Burke talk at all, and obviously Dell would be involved in this as well, but in terms of giving him a lot of blitzing looks, both he and Durham, to see how they respond to blitz pickup?
Yeah, so Coach Gase does a good job of organizing walkthroughs and practices so that those guys get all the looks they need, whether they're blitz or other looks, throughout the entire course of training camp. And our defense, there's enough with Coach Burke, like you mentioned, that we're going to kind of see everything they need to see. So yeah, absolutely.
Did he have to do much blitz pickup at Penn State? Obviously, he was primarily running routes there.
Right, yeah, that's been kind of new to him. But like I said, he's kind of taken to the blocking, both in pass protection and in the run game, and I'm really pleased with where he's at.
Is he exactly as advertised as a receiver? Any aspect of that part of his game that surprised you?
No, I think he's exactly as advertised. I mean, he made a lot of plays at Penn State, and I think we saw the plays he's making today, and I think it's just getting used to the speed of the NFL, and we're asking him to do different techniques that are a little different here than what he did in college, and I think he's adjusting to it well.
Shane, with the two new tight ends of the draft picks and then Derby having arrived in the middle of last season, Marquise Gray is a guy who's kind of getting overlooked a little bit. How valuable is he, partly because of so many things he can do?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. That's the key. His versatility. He can play the inline tight end. He can flex out. He does a lot of stuff on special teams. He can play the fullback. He did that a little bit last year. So his versatility lets us kind of move the other guys around, and it's very valuable. I mean, I can't tell you how valuable it is. I mean, it's crucial.
You have, this is my word, not yours, you have, I think, realistically, at least four who could be starters for you at some point this year. Does that jumble of not really knowing specifically who is going to start, or even having it down to two, does that cause you any stress, or is this exciting new frontier for you, having so many people realistically competing?
Yeah, I think we're really fortunate. I feel like all 6 tight ends, if we needed them to play in a game, could play in a game. They're all kind of working on different things, and we're kind of moving them around with different, the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, and giving them different experiences and exposures. But I'm really pleased with all those guys. I feel like we'd be lucky to have them playing on an NFL roster. I feel they all are NFL tight ends.
Pass break up in the end zone on the last play of one-on-ones.
Oh, yeah,
which won it for the defense? How popular were you with your guys after that play?
Oh yeah, man. That's what we got now. Like the last guy doing one-on-ones, a little bit of competition and stuff like that. Whoever win that down, they got to do 10 push-ups.
It seems like you and Devontae have had some battles this camp so far.
Oh yeah, man. That's me and Devontae. Also Kenny Stills too. So a lot of guys. All the receivers, I try to get my one-on-ones and work done with them.
Do you feel like you're playing at a pretty high level right now after this first week?
Oh yeah, I'm always feeling like that, man. I'm bringing my A game. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm bringing my A game this year.
Do you think it adds to the intensity of putting on the pads, stepping into the bubble as opposed to being out on the field?
Man, it don't matter where we at. We put the pads on. We got to go to work.
Do you feel like you were bringing
so far, seeing him start the first couple days?
Can you come again? What's that?
What do you think of McTire so far, seeing his game?
Oh man, I see that guy work hard, man. He always asking questions and stuff like that, man. It's a lot of competition in the secondary, so guys out there bringing their A game, they trying to get to it, man. And the spot is open, so everybody competing, man.
Sammy, what are your thoughts about the new targeting rules?
New targeting rule, man. It's gonna be hard, man. It's part of football, man. It's just stuff we got to clean up, good technique and stuff like that, knowing what to hit and stuff like that.
Did you think that you brought your A game last year?
What you say?
You said you're bringing your A game this year. Did you feel that you brought it last year as well, or not?
Not that much, but I did finish the season strong. So this year, it's a new year, 2018. So you're gonna see from there.
What happened last year that you were able to step up as the year went on and improve so much?
Man, I just switched my technique up, man, and just started just doing stuff, more important stuff, watching film and stuff like that, knowing what the guys are going to do to me. So I say that just helped me in just playing press, just playing what I'm good at.
Felt okay. It's football, so you're going to be a little sore, especially I was just talking with the guys and telling them that it's my first time being in pads in over a year and a half, so just looking at that and seeing how far I've come, it's a blessing, but I'm a little sore, but I'm okay.
What was it like to get back into these pads for the first time in a long time?
It was a long time coming. I worked extremely hard, trying to get myself healthy, doing the things that I need to do to be available and to be out there in the showcase what I can do. And give a lot of props to the training staff and the strength and conditioning staff for helping me get there.
As far as coming in as a draft pick and sitting out last year, how tough was it overall for you as you were looking on?
Oh, it was extremely tough. You always want to be out there. That's why you play the sport, to compete and to help your team win. So when I wasn't able to do that, it was a little tough. But I got to learn a lot through it. I got to sit in on meetings and watch film and things like that. So I got kind of a redshirt year, so to speak, just to learn the system and to understand what the coaches are expecting.
And so far, I mean, you've made a pretty good impact. We've seen you in the end zone a couple of times. How nice is it to be able to step out here and kind of have that success right away?
It's good. It's what you expect to do at this point, though. I work really hard on my craft, and I pride myself on working hard and knowing what to do and making the plays when they present themselves. So that's all I'm trying to do.
Eating right and healthy is a big part of the way you prepare. This offseason, can you tell us if you had a cheat meal, if any, the pizza?
At this point, that stuff that you guys call cheat meal probably will make me sick. I mean, again, I don't even think of it as cheat meal. I just have changed my life, and this is how I live. I mean, I didn't bring it in here. My food's sitting outside right now. There's a salad in there. Some chicken breasts. I think it's some. I don't know what else they had in there. Some zucchini. No, I didn't get the salmon. Some zucchini, whatever. But it's at this point it's a lifestyle. I don't even look forward anymore.
What's the worst thing you ate, Kim? Just like one thing. The worst thing. It might be that you ate lettuce or something. But what is the worst thing?
Worst thing I ate.
The thing you're ashamed to admit to us.
I'm not ashamed. I had some wildebeest.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that's, I would assume they're probably fatty.
Cam, Snickers bar?
I'm not a chocolate guy.
During the football, it seemed as though pass rush, certainly since the pads have come on, has been maybe what was expected last year. I mean, do you feel like you guys are ahead this year of where you were last?
I mean, I'd like to hope so. Obviously this game is played with pads. And as a defensive guy, when you are allowed to kind of do everything that you are supposed to do when you play football, it changes the dynamic versus when you have on t-shirt and shorts. You can't do a lot of things because it's kind of frowned upon. But now I said you can power guys, you can shake and bowl, you can do a lot of different things. So, they are at a little bit more of a they have to do what they're supposed to do. When normally, like I said, when they are in t-shirts and shorts, it takes away from some of the things that we can do, and it changes the game. But it's probably a little bit of a learning curve getting back into it. We've been in shorts since April 20, whatever. And, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm expecting them to pick it up as well. We have some work to do on our side, as far as communication and, making sure everybody's on the same page. But obviously Coach Kasurek is very, very adamant about, getting to the quarterback. And, I think we go out there every day trying to make sure we live up to his standard.
Do you have a sense, speaking of Coach Kasurek, because we've heard all along that he likes rotation, he likes waves of defensive linemen. Do you get a sense of how much that means for you, how much different this year might be than the last year?
It's hard to tell now. I think, again, he's a guy, obviously, who, takes care of veteran players. I would hope he's knows more or less what I can do, but at the same time, you got to get ready for games. And so, is practice going to be a direct reflection of how it's going to be on Sunday? Maybe not. When you're out there, you got to get out there. You got to make plays. You're expected to be in the game when situations call for it. But at the same time, you don't have to unnecessarily beat yourself down if it's not necessary, especially in days like this. But I'm a guy who likes to go out there and get after it. We've had many talks, and I think we're on the same page as far as how much is too much, and when to tone it down and when to turn it up. But again, it's always a lot of fun when you have to dial it down versus dial it up.
Do you believe that you need a certain amount of snaps in a game to set up the offensive tackle to find a rhythm and a pulse to the game, or do you think that you can do it on any play?
I mean, you have to be ready, when your number's called. But again, I like to be in there to get in the flow. To, like you said, like maybe it's a play where you do set up a play for later. And again, I don't think that's going to be a problem with speaking with coach. That if I want to be in there, I can't see him saying no.
Ken, when you look at the pass rush, do you ever know coming out of camp that, it's in a good place, or does it take the regular season to know that it's in a good place?
You have a sense. I mean, this is always, I think, especially when you put the pads on. I mean, this is football. You're playing pads, and you can't hide. And I don't care if it's running backs, linebackers, DBs. At some point, you're going to get exposed if you're that kind of guy. Now, I look in our room, and I see guys who, they're that kind of guy who has a mentality going in there and throwing their nose in the fire. So I don't think that's an issue. But at the same time, pass rush is not necessarily, individual effort kind of thing. You need the entire group to work together, and that's the things that you work on every day, building communication, timing, all those certain things, because we all got to work together to create one single pass rush. One guy can't win and just say, all right, I'm gonna take care of it for everybody. It doesn't really work that way. So as far as knowing where we are, I know the kind of guys we have, and I know there are no sheep in that room. But at the same time, we got to hunt together as a pack, and that's what we're working on today and tomorrow and the day after that.
Sorry, to follow up on your thought, how would you describe how well the defensive line group worked together last season?
It's probably water under the bridge at this point. We didn't reach the goals we wanted to as a team, so to me, as a D-line, it didn't matter what we did or didn't do. I mean, there's probably some teams who had great seasons as a D-line and didn't go where they wanted to, and it's probably vice versa. I'd rather win together, and I don't focus on that anymore.
You spend a little time in the training room, camp. Were you around Ryan enough to get a sense of his approach to his rehab?
Are you talking about when I was injured?
Well, no, just in this last year.
Oh, I don't go in the training room. I stay out of there.
Did you have any conversations with him?
I've spoken with him since he's been around, and I think, if you look at him today and you see, the way he's approached the game, the way he's been playing, all the things, I'm out there again chasing him every chance I get. Obviously, he did what he's supposed to do. It's always tough when you got to step away from the game for whatever reason, and I know it was probably just as difficult for him as any of us. But I know, even speaking to him, that he wanted nothing more than get back on the field and do everything he could to get back on the field. And I think now is the time to go and like you say, reap what you sow. So the reaping has begun for him, and I'm happy for him.
Ken, you've played with a bunch of different defensive ends lining up at the opposite spot. As you think back, how has who's been opposite you impacted how you are blocked, as far as one lineman, possibly two? Like, for example, was there much of a difference the year you played opposite JT than maybe some other years? And could that work to your advantage this year if Quinn gets back to what he was?
I think it's in essence it's true, but I think the way offenses can kind of scheme up ends is a little different than if it was a three technique or some other variation of pass rusher. So I've seen all kinds of different looks as far as blocking schemes and chips and guards clearing pockets and things like that. But I think when you have multiple guys, it doesn't matter if it's end or not. If there's a three technique on the backside who's doing a great job, you have to account for that. However they do it, that's, again, offensive coordinator questions, and there's probably multiple different ways. But I think, to give you a general answer, yes, it would be greatly beneficial to everybody involved, me included, to have multiple guys who can cause problems for the offense as far as pass rush goes. So there's only so many guys you can put back there, and if they're double teaming two guys and the other two guys got to win, whoever that may be. And if they're not, then again, still, you got to win. So.
And your first reaction when you heard the Quinn pickup, obviously in his prime defensive end who had 19 sacks one year, your reaction was what?
Round of applause. The more help, the more the merrier. I've never been one to, I want to win, and however many people we can get that's going to help that happen, bring them on.
Coach Casera, pretty intense guy when you go down on the field. His personality, what's that like for you guys to deal with in the room? Is it kind of fun at times, or do you enjoy it?
I personally, I love it. I think, again, this is it's a man's game, and there's no room for softness, especially the D-line. This is not, it's not quarterbacks. This is not, receivers. You got to go in there and you got to put your hands on somebody, play in and play out. You have to impose your will, play in and play out. And if there's any chink in the armor, you probably are going to get weeded out of that room. So, he's a guy, old school, hard-nosed. He's demanding. He doesn't bite his tongue. He tells you how it is. And as a man, you got to be able to take it. I'd rather hear the truth. And then, around the world of football, sometimes coaches will pat you on the back and go upstairs and tell, the upper level guys that, he's terrible. Tell me to my face I'm terrible, and let me figure out how to fix it. And if you can't take that to your face, then I probably don't want you in my room anyway.
Is his voice going to make it through?
No, it's already taking a hit. So he's going to have to get some tea or some honey or whatever you guys drink.
Cam, any of the young D linemen stand out to you so far?
I actually think Charles Harris has probably had the best offseason maybe of not just any D lineman, but probably anybody on our team. He came back in tremendous shape. He's obviously been working on his strength. He's been working on his football. It's showing up on tape. And I think that's going to definitely pay off when it comes time to put these live bullets and go out there and get after the quarterback. So he's made great strides, and obviously the more the merrier. I'm happy for it.
Coach Gase reach out to you? Did Mike Tannenbaum? Who called you?
Yeah, I believe it was Coach Gase.
Yeah.
Yeah, just express how much he can use me, how valuable I will be to the team. So it was Coach.
Your yards per catch on balls thrown at or behind line of scrimmage was insane last year.
Yep.
You would attribute that to what? What skills allow you to make something out of plays at or behind the line?
Just pretty much playing running back all my life. Just being able to get the ball out there and get a couple blockers in front of me, and let me work in space.
You knew coming here that you might not necessarily start, obviously, with Kenny and Devontae, and then Danny signed like a day after you were. Did that enter your thinking at all, or does that make no difference whatsoever to you?
Oh, not at all. I've been working very hard on my craft, and Coach knows well what I can do, and I have faith in him as he has faith in me, and I believe everybody's going to do well on this offense.
The way you look at it, do you expect all of you guys to play a lot?
Oh, definitely. I think we all going to get our part, and I think it's just going to be an exciting offense to watch. I think everybody's going to have their week, and that's the great thing about Coach Gase. He did a great job of getting players that he can use every week, and we've just been working hard to do that.
Are you getting a wide range of different opportunities, different ways to be used, and is that stimulating to you?
And it's fun. You kind of sit there and think that you can do all these things, and for them to give you an opportunity to do it, it's a blessing.
What's
Let me
been the
ask you
great
as far as Adam Gase lining up against you guys yesterday and again today. It looked like he even got a pop on his face a little bit there. What's it like to have a head coach out there being that active with you?
Oh, it's awesome, man. A big thing he brings to the table is energy. He wants to show, not only just tell us to bring energy, he's bringing energy for us. So when he gets out there and in those drills and, give us a chance to work and tell us exactly what he wants, it's a great learning lesson.
Got a position yet for your son? What do you think? Receiver, quarterback, receiver?
Right now he's the fun assistant. I don't know what position he's in. He's the fun assistant, yeah.
It was a little scrappy out there today. You like seeing that from some of your receivers like Jakeem and Danny?
Yeah, there's good and bad to it. You see the fire that some of our guys have and the passion that we play with, and you love seeing that aspect. You love seeing the competitiveness, the desire to win. You know, you don't really want to take away from practice and be a distraction and slow down, take away from the greater good. So there's a fine line. There's a fine line between you know, going all out and then being a distraction and taking away from what we're trying to accomplish. So, you know, on one hand, I love to see it. I love to see the fire that our guys have. On the other hand, it's you know, it takes away from us a little bit.
As a leader, do you kind of express that opinion when you get back to the locker room?
Yeah, we've already adjusted. You know, we adjusted after practice with our offensive guys, and they're on board. You know, it's a competitive sport. It's an emotional sport. When you're going against the same guys day in and day out, you know, little things start to build up and become bigger than what they really are. But that's just the nature of the business. Whenever you know you're facing the same guy, play in, play out, day in, day out. You know, but I like what I see from our guys as far as the fire.
Ryan, obviously you're not allowed to. A couple of examples of things that have pleasantly surprised you about your offensive weapons last 3 months, whether it's one of the rookies or Gore's speed or one of the new receivers. What couple things come to mind?
It's tough to say. You know, they've been good all around for us. You know, I think Albert has picked up the offense really quickly, as well as Danny. You know, really kind of surprised me how well they just kind of dropped in and got on board with exactly what we were trying to do. And you know, obviously it's not perfect, but no one is. And just the fact that they kind of jumped right in and haven't really missed a beat has been huge for us. You know, you see the kind of weapons we have in the first and second units right now, and there's really not too many loopholes in there. As far as other guys, you know, Frank, it really surprised me how hard he hits the hole. You know, when he runs downhill, he puts his foot in the ground and he goes. You know, there's a crease. You know, you see it on tape, but to see it in person, you know, you see a crease that's a foot wide. You know, barely able to get a helmet through there, and somehow he fits his whole body through there and is off to the next level. So that's probably been the most fun thing for me, as far as just seeing him put his foot in the ground, go downhill, and find a way to get through a crease where it looks like a human being can't fit.
Interesting. Tight end, any early observations there? How ready Gesicki looks, what you're getting from some of the other guys?
Yeah, Gesicki's coming on for us. You know, he's young, he's learning, but he's hungry to learn. You know, I think he has incredible range, and that's one thing that struck me from him so far is just his range. You put a ball, huge radius, he's got huge catch radius, you put a ball anywhere near him and he has the ability to either jump and get it or reach out and get it. One way or the other, he's going to get his hands on it. So that's been very impressive so far.
Obviously, you're not to be touched, but when these things are going on, the scuffles and whatnot, do you ever talk a little smack as well? I mean, because guys say they talk a lot of smack. You, as the quarterback and the leader, do you talk a little bit of?
Yeah, I like to mix it up a little bit. You know, can't say too. I don't really go into the fisticuffs. You know, I don't go in there throwing hands or anything. But yeah, especially to Bobby, I like to talk a lot of noise to Bobby just because Bobby never shuts up. You know, so I like to give it back to him as much as I can.
What do you expect what's going on with him and Amendola over and over again? I mean,
yeah, those guys have a good competitive fire to them. You know, right after the little scuffle, they went up and dapped it up. You know, so that's just kind of the competitive fire both those guys have, as well as the professionalism. Like, hey, you know, we're competing, it's over, and we're ready for the next play.
And as far as the back and forth, is it annoying to have to do those push-ups?
Oh yeah.
You've been hearing about that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, X made a great play on that one-on-one. We had Devontae on a takeoff. You know, I thought he did a good job of getting back to the red line. Thought I threw a good ball on the outside, and X elevated, got his long arm on the ball. So I have to give hat off to X right there, making a great play.
You said you talk a lot to Bobby. What's your go-to line to Bobby?
It's never one line. It's all mixing it up. You know, whatever the situation is.
TJ McDonald was saying X the lockdown corner. Going against him. What are your thoughts?
He's had a good camp so far. He's physical, he's long, he's tall. He has a good feel for, you know, when to get his head back and get a hand on the ball. You know, he's playing well for us so far.
Right, two other draft picks. Real quick thoughts on initially Durham. We've seen him maybe show some receiving ability. Didn't get a lot of chance. Notre Dame and Balaj. Impression to him.
Yeah, I think with Durham, he's had a strong start to camp. You know, I think Dallas pointed out a couple times to me, you know, just his improvement in blocking, you know, his soundness and his fundamentals and how he is improving in blocking, and that's going to be huge for us as we move forward. Just needs to keep improving on that. And then yesterday he had a pass route where he got off the ball and was running and flash. You know, you don't think of him as a burner or a speed guy, but you know, he got off the ball and was moving. And in the quarterback room, we kind of noticed, like, wow, you know, he's moving on this rep. So you know, he's kind of think of him maybe as more of a blocker, but he does have the speed and athleticism to help us in the pass game as well. And with Kalen, Kalen is he's been good. He's coming on. He's a big, strong, physical guy. He runs really hard, and you know, we're moving him around a lot. It's hard on him right now because we're moving him out in the pass game. We have him in the backfield protection and run game, so there's a lot on his plate right now. But he's doing a good job of learning and applying himself.
How do you feel physically overall 5 days into camp?
Yeah, I feel great. I feel great. I was telling somebody the other day, I feel like I'm 25, but 30 just sounds old.
So soreness, good soreness, would you say? Or what's it like
I'm
for
not
the
even really
quarterback?
sore. I came in pushing myself, in the off season, throwing a lot, getting ready to go. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. Day 2 came out here, and I was kind of expecting a little arm soreness just with the increased load. Some of those when you expect it to be sore a little tight, and then it's not, and you're like, oh, all right, good. So it's been good so far. Obviously, hope to keep it that way as we move forward, and the load increases even more. But I feel great so far.
When you think about having turned 30, where do you kind of, I think Sue turned 30 last year, I asked him the same question, where do you kind of feel like that places you in your career arc?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm just trying to get better. I feel like I have a lot of good football left in front of me, and just want to be the best I can this year, and we'll focus on what's after that then.
Ryan, did you work with Isaiah Ford on your when you were battling to come back? Did you guys work out through the rehab process at all? I know you were with Raycon.
Yeah, it was nice to have Isaiah. Unfortunately, he was coming off an injury as well, so he was the one guy I could kind of throw to during the rehab process and be within the rules. So we had a lot of time together, a lot of good reps, and I think it's showing so far. He's a talented guy. He's able to make plays on the ball, and he's doing a good job so far in camp of showing that.
How much do you feel you know about Raekwon, and how much do you still need to find out?
Really, we're just waiting to see the last element that we haven't really we really haven't experienced yet, which is a real game. He's played one snap of a preseason game. Everything else tells us that, he's exactly what we drafted him to be, and now it's just going to be when we get to Sunday and the preseason games, do what he's been training to do.
What were the things you particularly liked last year about him?
I think as a rookie, you saw leadership qualities, you saw how smart he was, how fast he picked everything up. Really for him, it's almost we're trying to minimize how much he's thinking about, because he processes a lot, and really when he sees something once, he can recall it, and he knows how to adjust our defense very quickly. So really it's us trying to be like, this is important. Don't worry about these other 3 things. So he's heading in the right direction. I know that, it's good to see him back out there.
And it's been a little inconsistent as far as what we've seen out of Jordan Phillips over the last few years. Which version of him do you feel like we have now?
So far through 2 days, he's done a good job. I know when you're a bigger guy like he is, the way that we're running the football, it's one thing to do it, in the spring. Now that the temperature's slightly up, when you're a big guy like that and you're running as much as he is, it's fatiguing, but he's doing a good job of embracing it, because it's going to help him get in a really good shape. And athletically, he does some things that you just don't see many people be able to do. For a guy that size, the way he moves, the way that, his athleticism is really, really off the charts.
Adam, it's not an ideal situation to have both injuries to Ryan and Raekwon last year, but how beneficial was it those two working together?
I think they did a good job of pushing each other. They were always competing. You'd hate to say it. It was good that they both had each other to go through that with. It hurt us, last year, but it was good for those 2 guys to have that other guy to really make sure, you stay focused on what you're doing. And plus, players in the NFL, they're competitors. So having somebody to compete with day in and day out, that helped those guys.
Adam, as a play caller, what's the challenges when you go up against a defense that's got 3 safeties on the field as opposed to maybe 3 corners and 2 safeties?
What are you hinting at?
I'm just curious.
We face a team that does it twice a year. So, it's the same defense. It's just different guy, just different body, different strength. They're better tacklers. Historically, I think we're lucky in this. In the case with Bobby, where he's a little more aggressive. He's not afraid to stick his, throw his body in there and go make a play. No matter what size the running back is.
A lot of teams don't have that luxury. So that's why having a third safety that can kind of almost play that nickel position is valuable because, they can go in there and they can help in the run game.
How was Minka handled what you've seen so far?
I mean, I haven't had any complaints. I mean, he's done a good job. He's a guy that picks things up fast, and he's always around. He's always making sure that he's not the weak link of, the group out there.
And regarding Charles Harris, he was telling us that he turned to the Lord, did a lot of prayer over the off season. Have you seen changes in him, whether it's physical or emotional, any kind of a different Charles Harris? Or did you need to see a different Charles Harris?
That's hard to evaluate because he's quiet. He seems to be, at least my experience has been more of one-on-one conversation. He hasn't really been somebody that's going to say too much when a bunch of people are around. But, last year there was a lot of good he did. I know when you're a rookie DN, everybody thinks sacks, hurry up and get those numbers up. And we really focused on how much are you disrupting the passer? How are you doing against the run? We weren't so much worried about how many sacks he had. And I think that was just a constant battle of just keep reminding him, this is what we're expecting from you. And I think that's always tough for a rookie, and I think this year he understands I'm just going to keep doing what I'm supposed to do as far as my job, being disruptive, and those type of numbers will come that he's looking for. And the way that he works, it's hard to believe that he won't have success. He's one of those guys that's always trying to be on the practice field, and everything he does, it's full speed.
And how would you measure success with him? Would it be to say in year 2, is it applied pressure, or does it need to turn into sacks or more playing time?
A lot of times when sacks are great because it's a negative play, but just the amount of times that you're touching the quarterback or causing him to throw the ball early or doing a great job setting the edge in the run game, it's like Cam's a great example to kind of watch as when you run to his side, and this is just 3 years going against him, he's a way better run defender than anybody gives him credit for. And he does a great job of setting the edge, bringing the ball back inside, giving linebackers an opportunity to make plays. And, really, that's what you want to be, because when you're a really good pass rusher, some guys just end up doing that and don't really care about the run game. And I feel like Charles is very aware of, I want to be a good player both in the run and pass game.
So by all accounts, you weren't the least bit disappointed with him last year, but you went out and got a really good defensive end. So what do you see his role being this year?
We just knew how we were going to play this year, especially with adding Chris Kasarik. We knew that it's not going to be as many plays for our defensive linemen because we're not going to have a guy that's going to play 70-plus snaps or 65 snaps. The way that we're running the football, the way that we're going to pursue every game, it's going to be less snaps and we're going to have more of a rotation. And I think everybody's going to get their shots. I think it's going to be a battle to get on that third down rush unit, which is a good thing because now those guys are all pushing each other, and it's going to be one of those things where if you're on that group, that means that you're doing the right stuff, you're working well with that group. And really that's what we want. We want to create that type of competition where guys are hungry to get out there on that third down.
What have you noticed about Albert Wilson?
I think he's done a good job of coming in. He took the spring very serious. He did a good job of studying. He did a good job in the meetings. He made some mistakes in the spring, but he didn't make the same mistake again. And he brings a professionalism. You can tell he's been in the league for a minute. And I think he has a lot of tools, not only as a receiver, but as a ball carrier that we can take advantage of. He's the type of guy that you just want to get the ball in his hands and really turn things into a punt return or try to get him to where at least he has a little space to where he can make an explosive play.
You're in the uppers tomorrow, is that right?
Yes.
How much can you dial it up when you're not in full pass?
No, it's basically the same thing. The only difference is you're not going to go live to the ground. That's majority of my career, that's what I've known. I think it's just starting under Saban at an early age. That was a big thing with him was you should be able to keep your feet, not go to the ground. It was a good way to make sure that guys were doing the right thing. Sometimes when you're in full pads, even when you're not live, guys have a tendency to take guys to the ground when that's not really what we're doing. And you can get all the same work as you would in full pads.
With David Phelps, how much you've been with him for 3 years, did you ever think there would be a point where he would be competing for the number 2 spot?
That's a tough one. I don't know if I ever thought about it when in the previous years. I think last year when he came back and we watched him keep improving. I think when we left training camp, we thought, he would be our 3, but we weren't keeping 3. So when he came back and we kept seeing how he was improving and his arm strength, I noticed like the longer we went, the better his arm strength got. It seemed like he really started doing a good job in the weight room where he was really, his core got a lot stronger, and I think that helped his velocity on some of his throws. And he has a very good presence about him, whether it be in the pocket, moving around. He can kind of see things that some quarterbacks can't see. And I think that's something that's caught our eye, and then allowing him to play in that last game, I think he earned the right to compete for that number 2 spot.
Is that the biggest difference in him now? Not just the pocket presence, but the arm strength?
I think with his anticipation and the improvement with his arm strength, because I do think it's better than what it's been, I think that's something that's really kind of caught our eye more than anything.
What's your process for evaluating him against Brock for the number 2 spot? Do you need to see all 4 games?
I think it'll probably be a little bit of a feel, of like as we go through the training camp practices, and then when we get in the preseason, it'll be interesting to see if somebody separates each, one from the other, and that's why we're trying to give them, both of them, equal amount of reps with different groups, so we can get a clean evaluation. And it's going to be one of those things where, does it feel like this guy's really accelerated? Is good things happening when one's in and it's okay with the other? Sometimes that stuff kind of cleans up for you, especially when you get into the preseason games.
Wouldn't you have thought you'd be there by now somewhat?
It changes when you get into games. It's practice is different. Sometimes when you're doing like a 3rd down period and the defense just knows you're just going, compared to a flow of a game when you're at 1st and 2nd down and then a 3rd down shows up every once in a while. It's a completely different feel in a game compared to practice.
What do you want Gesicki to keep in mind throughout this training camp and preseason?
I think he just has to keep getting better, keep working on his knowledge of the game, because a lot of times when we're running route, he may have run the same route 4 different times and he's seen 4 different coverages. And I think the more that he keeps taking in and learning from, that's going to be beneficial to him. Yesterday, I think he lost his legs a little bit. We were kind of giving him a hard time about that, but I think those are good that, some of our younger guys are going through that right now and realizing, okay, it's not going to change. So it's about recovery, it's about getting sleep, it's about hydrating, all those type of things to put yourself in position to where when you go out there you can make plays. And once we really start picking it up with some of the 3rd down stuff in the red area, I think you'll see him kind of really starting to be more involved.
With Ryan, it's pretty well established. You think he's performing at a high level. What particularly is he doing well that maybe in years past it took him a minute to get?
That's a tough one to really say exactly what it is. I think it was we were learning we were all trying to learn the offense, and I'm trying to learn them. So that was early stages of the offense, and really once we hit the spring last year, he was just trying to fine tune more throws, the accuracy, the pinpoint accuracy, and instead of missing the ball, throws just a little bit, he was trying to put it right exactly where he wanted it. And I think that's just this year. It's even like the next step. He's trying to see things and get us out of plays and making sure that everybody's on the same page. I just think it's slowed down for him mentally as far as being able to communicate with guys. If a guy has a question and that's not going to mess him up for what else he has to do. Or when you first get in an offense, sometimes you can get your mind all jumbled up, and next thing you know, you're not paying attention to the coverage, or you make a mistake and don't see a guy kind of drop in there at safety position. So I don't think that stuff really gets him anymore. I think he's able to kind of fix something and just keep his focus.
You mentioned with the backups that it's obviously different in the game. We haven't seen it
what do we see in practice is going to translate?
I mean, he's done the same, at least in my experience. What I've seen in practice, what I've seen has been almost a better version, because when you throw in tackling and his ability, because sometimes in practice you watch and you're like, yeah, we wouldn't have got that throw off, and then we get a game, he stands in there and takes a good hit, but he doesn't shy away from stepping into the throw. He completes the ball. So some of the things that you think aren't going to be real, they end up being real, and he ends up making throws that you don't expect him to make. And at the same time, I do think that his size and his ability to move, that's beneficial to us, because he gets us out of a lot of trouble, and he helps our run game as well.
Gore had a nice run today. Do you scratch your head when you turn on the tape at the age of this guy? How he's able to do that?
I'm not paying attention to his age anymore, because he doesn't look different. I was with him 10 years ago. It looks the same. I mean, he does a phenomenal job. He's been preparing all spring. All I heard about is wait to training camp. I'm like, I got you. I believe you. Trust me. Like, he is the last person I will ever doubt. Just seeing what he's done through his career starting in college, he's proven every person wrong that ever doubted him. The way we practice is the same way we do when we just go to the uppers. You know, it's really getting used to, you know, carrying all the equipment around, you know, moving around. We have the possibility that we could go live, you know, when we're in the bubble. It's really not ideal for us. We'd rather be on the grass when we do that.
Going into the bubble, was that a little bit of a downer?
I mean, there's nothing we can do. I mean, the more we can stay outside, the better.
What is it about that bubble that seems to produce this ball?
Because it's not 113 degrees on the heat index. It's just, I mean, guys, they're not going to get as tired in there as they would outside. You know, the heat drains them, and that's when you usually don't see too many tie-ups and things like that. Everybody's conserving energy for the next play, you know. And when you get in there, these guys get riled up and it gets festive.
Adam, when you guys signed Albert Wilson in the offseason, you came to an agreement with Danny Amendola the next day. What did you tell Albert about the situation he was coming into in regards to Danny also coming in?
Well, I mean, they play different positions, you know, and you know, when you have four guys like that, usually it works out the right way to where everybody's getting on the field, getting touches. You know, we've really been working on developing the right plan for Albert, because he does have a lot of different, a larger skill set than what most receivers have. And he did a lot in Kansas City. You go back and watch his college stuff. I mean, he did everything. And, you know, we're going to keep working on finding what his role is going to be, and I think that'll develop over, you know, the duration of August. And once we kind of figure that out, then kind of how this rotation is going to go and when we're going to get, you know, what group in there.
With Isaiah Ford, where is he in his development as a slot receiver?
I think he's done really well from when we started that first spring. He had a huge jump in training camp, then he gets injured. And I think he did a good job of staying on all the little details while he wasn't playing. And, you know, in this spring, he came back. He had more knowledge than what he had before, so he was able to play faster. He had a better understanding of really how to get open in that position, how to use the defense's leverage against him, and made a lot of plays in the spring. And then now you see him, he's making plays, and, you know, we just need to keep working on strengthening certain body parts and keep him healthy. And he's had a little bit of bad luck. It seems like he gets fallen on the wrong way sometimes on those deeper routes. You know, some of those linebackers kind of landed on him. So, but he's tough. He keeps going back out there. He wants to be a part of it, and he wants to do right.
So you see Albert Wilson as an outside receiver, not a slot?
Yeah, he's not a slot. That's the funny part.
You've been through a lot of training, right?
Nobody understands. I mean, it's a little frustrating.
I don't understand.
Yeah, he's an outside guy. You play inside, it's a different animal. You gotta have a special knack for it.
You've been through a lot of training camps. How do you know what's real? Like with the pass rush or the deep balls or a defensive end, how do you know what's real?
I mean, sometimes you can tell on tape of, there's a good chance he got this off or he wouldn't, and really when you get the receiver and DB going, you can tell. I mean, it's pretty, clear what's going on, and the O-line D-line battle, that's always the one you question, and really it's when you get into games that's when you really find out the answer.
That said, how would you describe what you saw from your defensive line today?
I mean, I feel like they're doing the same thing every day that they've been out there. They're attacking. There's great penetration. They're coming off the edge with, the get off is remarkable. I think Chris has done a really good job of getting those guys, for how hard they work in individual. You wouldn't be able to tell what they do in individual, and then they transfer to the team drills because those guys just bring it. And then how they pursue the ball, get back to the line of scrimmage, go to the next play. I mean, there's a lot of energy exerted on one play, and they just move on to the next one. He's developed those guys. That's a tough group. They're really trending in the right direction.
I was talking today about turning 30 and saying he feels like he's 25. Do you see him as a late bloomer?
I don't know if. I mean, he's had good seasons in the past. I mean, I don't even know how many times he's thrown for 4,000 yards. It seems like before I got here, there was a lot of positives that were going on, and I thought he did a good job in 16 and put us in position to win games, and really he figured out what was best for us and how to manage the offense and play complementary football with the defense. And last year we thought we were heading in the right direction, and then we'd lose him for the season, and now he just seems to he keeps getting better. I guess I just look at 30 now, and it doesn't seem, for quarterbacks, it doesn't. I mean, how many guys we got at 39, 40, and they're MVPs of the league?
Adam, the last 2 days you worked with the wide receivers. What's that like for you, and how does it help?
I don't know. Every once in a while, I just try to get involved somewhere. For the most part, I try to stay away and let guys do their job. But every once in a while, it's fun for me to go over there. I mean, that's kind of where I got my start in Denver, and I always enjoyed that, and talk a little bit to those guys and try to get them going and gas them up a little bit. And so I don't know, it's fun to do it.
It looks like Albert may have popped you on trying to break away at one time.
No, he tried to. It didn't work.
So, you need a backup slot behind Danny Amendola who is not named Albert Wilson.
Yeah, why are you so stuck on this? I mean,
Didn't he play slot for KC?
he played all over the place. He was everywhere. He played outside. He played inside. He played running back. I mean, he did a lot of stuff. It's not that he can't play slot. He's really good outside.
What do you like about it?
But you don't see him as a slot.
It's a different spot for our offense.
What do you like about him out there?
I like his speed, the way he releases. He's strong. When you give him, when you give him lock routes and say, hey, this is what you're going with, he's good to go with it. Try not to, he's the one guy that's trying to learn all the ins and outs of the offense.
What have you learned about Xavier Howard over the last week?
I think he's coming along just really on pace with what he did first year to second year. Going into this year, you see his confidence is way up. He challenges everything. He's aggressive when he's pressing. I think, him going against those receivers it pays off because those guys are, they can be tough, and he's not afraid to get physical with them. I think him and Devontae have some really good battles because, it really gets physical between those two guys. And, it seems like his ability to track the ball, he keeps finding ways to get better in that area. He's in on a lot of plays.
Okay. Adam, well documented that you're an offensive guy, and we know that you have no problems off the smack the defense. So you notice when guys emulating your style when the offense talk and smack your defense and all the complications that happen today?
I don't know. Is anybody talking?
No, they know better than just stuff like that.
I think they pick their battles. I think some guys, everybody's got a different personality. for me, it's, I don't get a lot of interaction with the defensive guys until we get to practice, and, I don't always start it. I'm just reacting sometimes.
Do you like what you've seen in the intensity of Amendola going against McCain?
Oh, yeah. That's fun to watch. Those two guys going again, they're making each other better because they compete every snap. And really that's what we're looking for is those, outside guys and the inside guys. We're looking for those guys to compete, and they'll find, if one guy might have a really good day one day, and then the next, Bobby's got to come back the next day if Danny had a good day. And I think we just keep seeing it back and forth there.
Guys, good? All right, thank you.
Wilson is